These have got to be bad for you. They are, actually. I looked it up. They can increase blood pressure and like receding gums. Like this is even just the nicotine ones. Like this is just what nicotine can do.
Sure.
It's not like tobacco. Because like they talk about all the brain benefits and stuff, and it's like sure in small doses and stuff, but if you're a habitual user and you use it for long periods of time, there's a ton of bad side effects.
Yeah.
Your artery walls can start to harden, and like you get mouth irritation, receding gums, and obviously the addictiveness to it. You know what the other thing that was weird is a cigarette. You tend to only get about 1/10, consume about 1/10 of the nicotine from a cigarette, which is only about 1 milligram. So putting one of these in, you get way more nicotine than having a cigarette. Dang. 3 times as much with these 3 milligram ones. This is the Zyn era. This is the nicotine era. And then once this is gone, I'm never going to deal with it again. This is a moment in time of the podcast.
For you. I think even just like culturally, we always have these things. Like we always have fads of things that are what is the stimulant at the time. That I wonder if other countries have that. Like what we talked about in the last podcast. Like our country is so achieve the most, feel like it's the heightened version of everything.
Oh yeah.
That it's like, well, why do you need your brain to function differently? Like coffee. It's like, why do you need to feel amped? And I think it's because we push our life so crazy more than we need to. So then we need things to, like, that's something I was actually thinking about yesterday. That is a negative, like, lifestyle that I almost have, like, a nostalgic, positive feeling about is, like, pushing yourself hard, but then having everything else be a little, like, you're not as on top of it. Like, think of food. We're very picky with our nutrition, and we don't really go off the rails that much. And like our version of going off the rails is probably not that crazy, even compared to what we used to do. Yeah. That as soon as the schedule gets a little bit more hectic, or if I feel like I'm like pushing it to my limit, then it's like, oh, but if you go get something for food, there's like a different feeling of I don't have any of the guilt. I don't have any of the, oh, it's not healthy for me thing, because it's like, this is fueling my pushing it. Like it feels like, oh, I'm struggling. So these are things that I'm not going to care about because I'm only caring about pushing it. Like that was my whole childhood. I can have Taco Bell and have McDonald's and eat like shit because my schedule is crazy. And I'm pushing my body physically.
It's bandwidth.
But it's like a weird negative reward system.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and I think we're
like it feels good not to care.
Yeah, yeah. We're kind of semi-tricked into that of like, you've earned that and deserve that. You've earned to relax in other areas and chill out, whatever.
It like fuels the crazy. It's like, I'm living a crazy push it life. So I'm going to eat crazy and I'm going to have crazy amounts of caffeine because it's crazy.
When in reality, like you need to be more dialed in on that stuff to benefit the most out of it. Like you need to have your nutrition even better and literally even more nutritious, and you need even more sleep and better sleep, and you need like more sunlight, or just like having the circadian rhythm be right. Yeah, I'm thinking about us in the conventions. It's like we're in a hotel from Thursday to Sunday.
Monday.
Yeah, that like we're inside, not seeing the sun, not outside. So I'm thinking of that. But I feel like for most people with jobs and work and stuff, it's that you're on that grind mode. It's like you need because it's so intense, you want to relax and chill on all the other things. But in reality, you need to be even more trying to be beneficial with the nutrition, the exercise, the sleep, the sunlight, like all of that kind of stuff. You need it more than you do when things are calm and chill and less stress and all of that kind of thing. Like that does not I want so much balance. Like I want it to be very, I'm eating good, I'm exercising regularly, I'm working a normal amount. I want everything to be very balanced. We talked about this maybe on the podcast, but I think the other day of, oh no, I think we were on our walk. It's like, as life goes on, it seems more and more like the truths that keep coming to me is like consistency and simplicity. It's those two things that are just make me feel the most balanced and good and whatever. It's like, it's fun. It's for sure fun when the season comes along and it's crazy. And it's almost addictive. Like getting on the planes and going and working and doing all that stuff. It's so exciting and fun. And then when we aren't doing it, it's also fun to be more in the off season, like be chill and balanced and calm and whatever. And I think there's only a certain amount of RPMs that you can ride at when you're doing the crazy and going, like you can only do that for so long. I mean, I've trained people that have those crazy jobs and are working 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week. And it's like, there's the excitement and you can tell there's like this addiction towards it, but all the other parts of their life are kind of a mess. And it's like, is that being able to observe that and see that, I'm like, that's not what I want. And I don't think this is like the best for people or them. So it's like, yeah, I'm really liking the simplicity of stuff. I want things to be simpler and not having to make so many decisions and not be all over the place and whatever. It's like, and then the consistency of just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like you want to get good at anything or you want progress in anything, it's just continue to do it over and over and over again and keep the consistency. Those two things, I'm like, that's where I have my focus at now.
My like smart brain agrees and wants that and does like have experiencing that. I do like that. I think I had to rewire myself to want that. Like, I don't think that's natural for me to want that. Like, I think I have wired myself to like the high speed, which I'm sure my version of high speed for most people is probably medium speed. But
and I think part of it's probably the way that the dance world is. Like it is high intense and at least the way that you approached it and you did it, you know, it was like you were going to school for 8 hours and then you were going to dance for 4, and it was like that repetitively over and over again. So you are, in a weird way, like you've gotten more comfortable with things being very just like always doing something with stuff. And so it makes sense to me that like you like that and maybe are more comfortable in that environment.
And I think it's even further beyond the scheduling. It's like what things you're around with that kind of world. Like we go to our work and it's like there's stages and it's bright lights and big music and like the stimulus of those environments are pretty intense. And then it's like you're surrounded by that a lot. Or it's like for this next city, like we're doing a photo shoot. It's like doing stuff like that where you're getting hair and makeup done and you're in front of cameras and like the flashiness of that, like that is very common within my jobs.
Yeah.
Like I was doing regular like photo shoots and video shoots as a kid. Like that's just a part of that activity. I almost call it a sport, but like that activity. Mm-hmm. Like you're performing in front of people and you're on stages and you're going to like you're wearing not like just a basketball jersey. It's like everything is very sparkly and big and crazy. It's like that is now your new level.
Yeah.
Like that's what you get used to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I enjoy that in the burst that it is. But I also like the calm and the simplicity and the not high stimulus and that sort of thing. Like I like what my brother and his wife do of like they have their normal jobs or whatever. They create the stimulus on their own. Like
sure.
Their job doesn't create that as much maybe. I don't know. I guess I'd have to ask them, but at least the way that it seems like they operate and do stuff is they do a really good job of going on little vacations or going on little trips, even if it's just like driving somewhere and spending a night or a couple nights, and like they create that stimulus.
They go out to dinners and like go to cool places and go just get
Right.
drinks.
That I think that attracts me more of like, I want my regular life to be more simple and balanced, and then I'll create the stimulus that like when I want it and when to do it.
I think I would need, I'm experiencing like, I need practice formulating that on my own. And I still think it would take me time to deregulate to that. Like that is not exciting enough for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of the difference is like, I'm not looking for the excitement. I'm looking for the balance and the simplicity.
Sure.
You're like, well, that's not exciting. I'm like, yeah, I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
You're looking
Yeah.
for the excitement.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's just that too. There's different types of people. So like it could be for you where that will just always be a little bit too boring and too monotonous and whatever, to where you're going to need more craziness to feel like you're getting the most out of life or just getting the most out of whatever it is. That for me, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting the most out of life with it being very balanced and simple and
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, it's just kind of the life that you're choosing in a way, I guess.